Good evening, sir. Thanks very much for your time. Perhaps you can, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us why you're saying, or what distinguishes these buses from buses that people know. What do you mean when you say they are designed for township commuters?
No, thank you very much. Let's start by correcting that Ekurhuleni is not the East Rand. It is the city of Ekurhuleni. The East Rand is a former name. Just directly to your question, that this is a very important strategic initiative by a national government that has been rolled out to 13 other cities, including us here in Ekurhuleni, wherein the government is working with the taxi industries to make sure that we consolidate our work around the transport sector. We are now ready with the 40 buses that we launched today with the Premier of Gauteng, as well as the Minister of Transport, Minister Fikile Mbalula, wherein we're actually going to be covering about 58 kilometers of road using those buses. The intervals in between those buses will be about 10-minute waiting time. So we're quite excited, and we're mindful that we still have to roll out this system to all the areas of Ekurhuleni, including areas like Vosloorus, Katlehong, Davidton, Guatemala, and so on. So this is a good beginning because, as you'll recall, we were frustrated for quite some time within the phase of this project, where there were a lot of delays because of bad planning of the project. So we have since dealt with all the hurdles that had affected the project, so we're ready to roll out this. In fact, when we did the test model initially with about 12 buses, we started picking up commuters. The number is currently standing at about 40,000, which is quite encouraging, and was quite certain that with the rollout to places like the airport, Emperor's Palace, Eastern Mall, the numbers will triple in the main. And this is what National Department is saying, that you don't want just buses that are moving around empty. So all our buses are quite full, and we'll be staggering them out according to the demand from communities. That's why the essence that these are community-based buses, because we want to make sure that community people move from the places of residence to places of work and places of entertainment.
But how exactly are they different? Are these buses different from your conventional bus system?
Well, these buses are quite different. Firstly, they're using a dedicated line, but secondly, they are quite accessible to even people with disability. But it uses a certain technology. It's not just your normal bus that is dependent on the ticketing system. We're using high-tech to monitor the movement of the buses to ensure that there is no incident where people can be delayed. So these are quite special buses in the main, and the entire BRT system in all the cities is running exactly like that.
Now, two things. You're saying you have solved the problems, that plagued phase one of this project. But secondly, you know that with projects of this nature, then later we get to hear stories of, corruption and so on. How have you dealt with the two? In other words, what have you done?
Look, the question around corruption is always an issue that we have, as members of the public, have to look out for. I can say with certainty that we've spent about 1.4 billion, and we've not picked up working together with the Auditor General, because I sometimes don't take serious what people say in WhatsApp group. The Auditor General comes to audit the work that we are doing around the BRT. We have not been found wanting. So I'm quite confident that issues of corruption are not necessarily impacting the project. What has been the problem, I think for me, it's design, it's engineering, and inability of the city to plan. Because, for instance, if you have something like a stream crossing, you need to apply for water use licenses, and it will take you about 300 days. So we've dealt with all those issues over time. So the delays mainly were around those issues, and all those issues have been dealt with. I'm quite confident that we should be rolling out the system, because we're not just working as government. We have established the special purpose vehicle that is run by the taxi industry, that is in collaboration with the city, which is one amazing feature of this particular problem. So we've got stakeholders that are working with us to look into this thing, but also the national government is having an eye in terms of how the system is being rolled out here, because we are learning from other cities and how they've been able to implement this particular system.
Was it because of the incompetence of the officials, or was there something wrong now? There was not enough planning went into this that you encountered?
Look, engineering projects are very complex by their very nature. On one hand, you've got government officials. On the other hand, you've got business community, because many of the consulting work is done by consulting engineering firms, which are actually private sector firms. So the collaboration of that at the initial phase, I think for me, was a disappointing phenomenon. So that's why, for instance, we have, when we launched the project today, apologized to the community of Tembisa, because there were a lot of unwarranted delays that we experienced there. So we're saying now the system is running. We're going to be using other lanes until such time that all the dedicated lines are completed, because we're completing the stations. Of the 9, 2 stations are now complete, and the work is underway. We were told by officials that come the 30th of March 2020, all the stations will be completed of this phase, but also simultaneously we'll be rolling out other phases so to ensure that the bus run throughout the city of Ekurhuleni.
Okay, that's where we're going to leave it this evening. Thank you very much for coming through. The Mayor of Ekurhuleni, Mzwandile Masina.